PR Connections Radio presents.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the PR Connections Radio Show. My name is Guy Dawson, and I am the founder of the PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I am super excited today to be sitting with a very good friend of mine. Her name is Kathy Mirrer, and she is an inspirational speaker and an author, and we are going to talk about her amazing platform today. Kathy, welcome to the PR Connections Show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I like being here.
Kathy and I met recently. She is an inspiring person with a phenomenal story to tell, and we met each other in the true spirit of, I think, inspiration, in that Kathy reached out to me and asked me for a speaking opportunity, and I was able to give her that opportunity. And of course, we've been like tied to the hip ever since. Great friends. And I just I'm so happy to have the opportunity to have you on the show today, Kathy, so that we can learn more about what you do as an author and a speaker.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Again, like he said, my name is Kathy Mirrer, and I wrote a book. I wrote a book called Dream, Believe, Achieve, from Wall Street secretary to president of a public company. And I tell people, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I just went to high school, but I had the desire all my life. I can remember as far back as my teens to want to be a teacher. I had the desire and I had the passion, because there were teachers that I had met in public school, in high school, pointing fingers and always trying to make a student look like they didn't know much and they didn't do their homework. That wasn't the kind of teacher I was going to be. I was going to have compassion for the students and help them along and make them see themselves in maybe a better light than they might have seen themselves before. And everything worked out very, very well.
I think most of our early, or at least I can speak for myself, Catherine, I think that teachers are some of the greatest inspirational people in our lives, just because we're growing up, we're in the educational system here in the United States, and outside of your parents, your teachers are kind of like your biggest role models.
No question
and
about
so
it.
I can really understand your perspective on, the value of teaching, because of the impression that you leave on someone when you teach them something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what I felt that I had to achieve it, and I was lucky to be asked by a teacher if I'd like a tuition to Oswego Teachers College in Oswego, New York. And I said it would be for half the tuition. And I said, oh, absolutely. I was so excited. And she said, and if you'd like, you could come back to this high school and teach here. You have my word. I said, oh, this is overwhelming. I can't wait to go home and tell my folks. Well, I did, and they both said, my mother, father, and my sister, actually the three of them said, oh, we're so proud of you. We're very happy. Absolutely great. And then I looked over at my mother, and I said to myself, this is not the end. This is just the beginning. I knew it. I was right. She brought me into my room, closed the door, and said, Kathy, you're only 17 years old. You've never been away from home, and we don't have money. We were very poor, very poor. No car, no means of transportation. And she said, there's no way we're going to be able to come up to see you in Oswego because we don't have a car. We don't have the money for transportation. And how often will we be able to call you? Oh, you're so far away. Besides, you won't be able to call us, and you'll be very lonely. You're part of our family, and we're all so united. You won't be happy. But you think about it yourself and make your own decision. Sure, sure I will. So I paced the floor at night, and I thought, oh, no, there's no way. She's right. Everything she said was the truth. But I thought maybe this would overpower the truth, that I could finally become a teacher. So I went into school the next day, tears rolling down. I'll never forget it. And I said, Mrs. Lynch, thank you very much for the offer, but I cannot do it. And I ran out. When I ran out, she ran after me. And she, Kathy, please, please. She really insisted. I said, I can't. And I turned around and she was behind me. And I said, Mrs. Lynch, it's a family thing. I have to go to work right after I graduate high school. I understand. And she never approached me again. But my heart sank. I said, oh my God, the opportunity, now what? So should I go further?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
please.
okay. So I graduated high school and I became a secretary. Very ungratifying to me. Typing, answering phones, making copies. I didn't like it at all. I wasn't helping myself or anybody else. And then they were all temporary jobs, and I took a temporary job with my president or my husband he wasn't my husband then, he was just my boss. And we fell in love, got married, and we lived in New York. And he said to me one day, tomorrow, I'm coming. You have to go to the office and wait till you see this big box that's going to be delivered. I said, honey, what's in the box? Oh, I can't tell you. You'll see. Okay. So we went, and as we were waiting at the door, two men were there. We said, all right, we have your item for you. They brought it in. What is that big box? I can't imagine what's in that box. So anyway, they took the device out of the box to put a big book, 250 pages on top of it, and they plugged it into the wall, and they said to my husband, sign here that you received it. Okay, and they left. I said to my husband, what is it? He said, well, they call it a computer. Folks, you have to remember this was 1982. Computer just came out then, that year. And I said, well, what's a computer? What does it do? And he said, it processes words. That's what I was told. I said, honey, my mother has a food processor. How can you process words? They're not tangible. He said, I don't know. I'm only a lawyer. So I thought, oh, all right. So anyway, I kept passing by the computer and the book, and I opened 250 pages. That's intimidating. The device was intimidating. No, it was overbearing for me. Again, I was coming from the typewriter era. So I said, no, this is, it won't work out. And then I said, but I don't want to be a secretary, even though it's my husband. No, this isn't my thing. So I said to him one day, honey, I have an idea. How about if I stay home? I don't know how long it's going to take. I want to narrow down the manual, streamline it just for the basics, because we're all from typewriters. We can't be whizzes on a computer. But if I can teach them the basics, all right, that's fine. So I struggled for 6 weeks, 6 months, not 6 weeks, 6 months. And I thought, well, you know what? I have it down to 25 pages now. Let me go in the office after the staff has left, and let me make sure that I haven't given wrong advice. Did you do this? Did you do that? Because what I wanted to do was have them be able to type a document, change words in the document, store a document, and ultimately print it. That was the key, printing it. So anyway, it's some things I hadn't done. I didn't add an extra step, or I deleted one. So I finalized, and I said, honey, I want to put an ad in the Village Voice in New York and tell people about the training. And I was going to charge $75 for the training. It was going to be for 2 weeks, 30 hours for the 2 weeks, 3 hours a day for 5 days and 2 weeks worth. And add on, when the machine is not being used by anybody, extra time just to practice. So 4 people lined up at the door, and I thought, I said to my husband, are they answering the ad? He said, I guess so. So I introduced myself. My husband did. They introduced themselves to us, and they said 2 men actors, 2 women actresses. And they told us it was so sad that all of them lived in one room in New York. There was only 1 bedroom, and they had to flip a coin every night as to who was going to sleep in that one bed. The other slept on the floor. Terrible. I thought, oh, God, that's terrible. Anyway, I started training one at a time, and then they told their friends who told other friends. I thought, Ray, my husband's name was Raymond, I said, I can't do it. I can't train all these people. Besides, do you realize if they came out with one computer, they They have more software. There has to be more software out there than Word. There has to be. He said, oh, how do we find out? I said, give me more time at home. I'll find out. So I don't know how I found out that there were 4 softwares: Word, WordPerfect, DBase, Lotus. I said, oh, good. I said, so if we get the software, of course, we have to get more machines. So one thing leads to another next. Then you have to get instructors. So I told my husband, I said, there are 4 softwares, and I told him the names. I said, but hon, we need a room to get computers. One computer won't suffice. He says, well, there's an adjoining office to your office. Maybe that's for rent. So he checked it out, and he said, yes, it is. He opened the door, looked good, nice and spacious, very open, not crammed at all. And I thought, this is great. I said, we need computers now, and then I have to get instructors. He said, okay, well, we got the computers. We rented the computers, and then it was my turn to get instructors. So I put another ad in the Village Voice. And this was a very interesting, very poignant call for me. The guy calls, and my name is George. I said, hi, George. He said about 2 sentences, and I said to myself, I'm hiring him. I knew it. I always judge people by their voices. Do you feel the compassion coming? I don't have to see what a person looks like. Didn't matter to me. So anyway, I said, George, can you make it in tomorrow, which was Monday? He said, sure. He says, but when you meet me, you won't like me. And my answer was, let me judge that for myself. And I thought, why did he say that? He walked in, he was in his late 70s, I'd say, with a cane. He wobbled, very slow, and he sat down, and he said to me, see what I mean? And I pointed, which I don't like to do. I said, George, let me tell you something. We all have imperfections, but some are more obvious than others. His eyes filled with tears. I said, oh, my God, George, did I say something that hurt you? I'm sorry. He said, no, but you're the only one about to give me a chance. Everybody else said, George, we'll call you. You never did. I said, George, I hired you. When I spoke to you, you gave me 2 sentences. I can tell from the way you spoke to me, you would have compassion for someone from a typewriter to a computer. And George turned out to be one of our best instructors. They always asked for him. It was so wonderful. Then we hired other instructors. Again, the voice was so important to me. I listened so carefully, and I asked kind of leading questions to see, are they going to be disturbed at what I asked? And if they were calm and easygoing, those are the people I hired. So that they turned out very good as well. So another story. Am I going beyond my time?
No,
Okay.
yeah.
Another story was Tom. Tom came in every morning. He worked, his permanent job was as a proofreader at a law firm. He would come in and, Kathy, always doing this. No, I can't do it. I'm not good. Blah, 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 blah. I said, why are you your worst enemy, Tom? Nobody speaks that way of you. You are excellent, and you will see tomorrow. Come in. I want you to come in nice and fresh. No bad looks and making faces at yourself. And I'm going to put the speakerphone on. You're going to hear what I say. All right. So he came in the following morning, put the speakerphone on, and I called an accounting firm, Pete Marwick. I don't know if you heard of them. They were an old one. I don't know if they're still around. Spoke to them at Human Resources. I introduced Tom to them, and I said, I'd like you to hire him for a week. I don't care if you don't like him. You don't have to tell me the reason why you don't like him. It doesn't matter to me. If you don't like him, I will pay for his 1 week. I said, I think that's fair. And she said, you can't get any fairer than that. I said, yes, because I knew it wasn't going to happen. So anyway, they hired him. He started working there, and he'd call me with questions sometimes, and I'd refer some of them to other instructors. Other times, he would just call to say hello and, didn't say much about the job. Then about a month later, Kathy, thank you. What are you thanking me for, Tom? They made me the computer manager, me of all people. I said, why not you? You're the best there is. How could that not be you? He said, oh, I can't wait to go to my night job and tell him I don't want to go back anymore. I said, what did I tell you? We transformed him. He said, I feel like a new person. I said, you are a new person. You don't have any of those grudges in your mind and how terrible you are. You don't have time to be terrible anymore. You are very well grounded. You're very diligent. They're going to love you. You may one day become the chairman of the board of Pete Marwick. Nobody knows. You start here. He said, oh, I'm so happy. Thank you. Thank you. That was another wonderful thing. Okay, then, I don't know. then I would go to church on Sundays. But this Sunday, I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, which is what I get up now. And I said, Ray, I shook him, Ray, why? Why? It's 3 o'clock. I looked at the watch on the clock. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. What are you calling me for? I said, I have to ask you a question. And he said, Kathy, at 3 o'clock in the morning, can't you ask me after church? I said, no, this is very important. He said, well, what is it? I said, did you ever hear of a marriage of one? He said, oh, my God, do you have a fever? And he went to touch my forehead. I said, no, I don't. Please hear me out. He said, okay, what is it? You got all these ideas. I said, marriage of one. You need training, but you need placement of people. Training alone is not going to do it for them. They could train for the rest of their lives. They want to be I want them to be placed in jobs, to see the achievement of the training. All right, he says, I'm not going to ask. You're going to do something, and I know it. That's fine. You go ahead. You're the marketer. I said, okay. So I said, I'm going to be taking off time again. So I took off time, and I remembered Word Perfect, D-Base Lotus. I called every one of the 4 software manufacturers, and my question to each one is, I'd like to invite you to the office. We have a training center, and we are going to be a placement service as well. They said, oh, great. And I say, we're training on your program, each one of the 4. They separately came in and this is wonderful. Nobody else was doing this anywhere in the country. This was the first. And they said, oh, this is wonderful. And I said, I guess you understand. And it's obvious that the more people who are being trained on your program, the more programs you can sell. So it works for both of us. Absolutely. Oh, we'll refer you to people. And they did. Any company that called them, I need somebody for, whether it was, I don't know, Word Perfect, D-Base Lotus, whatever it was, we were able to come through. And then my husband then had some sad news. He said to me while we were home, I was making dinner, he said, honey, we can't keep going on this way. We need more money coming in. This is a big expense. I said, I know, but how are we going to get more money? He said, well, we have to get investors. So I'm going to call up some Wall Street brokers, and they can maybe have what do they call it? A sale for us, getting investors to invest in our company. I said, fine, you've got the wherewithal, I don't. So anyway, he brought in 2 men. They came in, they went next door. They loved what they saw. This is great training and placement. You got it made. That's terrific. The only ones here in America, and not in America, in the United States. I don't know elsewhere. They said, absolutely. And I turned to my husband and I said, he will be a terrific head of the company. He's got the business acumen and all. And I remember that they looked at me. We want you. And what do you want me for? I only graduated high school. I have no business acumen. I've never had my own business. And my husband said, because they started taking the stuff, putting it back in their bag, ready to leave. So my husband said, wait, guys, I want to talk to her. Here we go again. Yes, he said, Kathy, we're going to lose the business. This is what you want to do. All your life you've dreamed of being a teacher. I said, I know, but I can't. I don't have to. I can't do it. I've never done this before. He says, didn't I always tell you when he did? But I forgot those words. Everything eluded me then. He said, you're very good with people. That's it. You like to bring out the best in them. And I said, yeah, but I'm afraid. And I said, no, nothing to be afraid of. You're going to do it, and you're going to do a good job. Okay, and I went out and with less than a half smile, less. And the 2 guys said, oh, you look like you're happy. And I said to myself, no, I'm not. I'm scared. I said, mm-hmm. So I became the president of a public company. Let me tell you, I would do this again at a flick of a wrist, and it was a lot of hard work. But when you do hard work with a passion with what you do, it's not hard work. And not only do you help people, they help you. And see, I had a smile in my heart all the time, always feeling they can do it. And they did. There was only one lady who was with welfare. very pretty young girl, very smart, excellent. And I called her up at night and I said, look, I can get you a job. You're terrific. I know they'll love you there and all that. And she insisted that she doesn't want to be. And she doesn't want a job because she was on Medicaid and she had children. And I said, yes, but please, can you at least try it? No. She said, call me in the morning. I'll tell you. I called her in the morning again. She said, no, I'm too afraid that if it doesn't work out, I can't get back on Medicaid. And the Medicaid has helped me immensely. Her husband had left her. I said, okay, so that was the only downside. But otherwise, everyone, it was a transformation for us. And I would say to the instructors, do you realize that people, so many people, for whatever reason, you don't delve into their past, but you recognize in their past, they might have met people who said, oh, you can't do it. Don't bother. You can do it if you have the passion. I'm totally convinced. I'll put it in writing. You have the passion. Don't let anything deter you or anybody deter you, and you will achieve it, and you'll feel very good about it. So that is my story, and I love every moment of it. If I could relive it in terms of motivating people through talks, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, what a phenomenal story, Catherine. Really about, as you had mentioned before, it was really about desire, and then your willingness to take on things that you didn't really feel comfortable doing. I mean, pretty much from the beginning, getting the business started, developing it, and then ultimately becoming president of a publicly traded company. I mean, how many people ever get the opportunity in their lifetimes to do that? But it seems like you were destined to do that, and
My husband gave me the impetus. He had more faith in me than I had in myself. I thought I got along with people. I didn't question that. But how do you coordinate getting along and having a business and training? It was like overwhelming for me. But if I could do it now, I would do it. So now, instead of writing books and not being able to see people's faces light up, that's what I want to see. That's so important. I want that to be my legacy. That's how I feel.
Right. And so, as we had mentioned, Catherine, you are an inspirational speaker looking for opportunities to inspire audiences. And is there a particular group of people that you really want to inspire? I mean, as an inspirational speaker, I guess it's really about inspiring people overall. But is there a group of people that you like to touch more than others?
Well, I would assume that students would be a good group of people, especially students that are graduating, because a lot of people graduating are not sure which direction they want to go in. And I want to make sure they understand that if I can do it, anybody can do it, as long as you have a dream, a passion. And if you don't, start thinking about it, because your life ahead is going to be hinging on that passion. And don't let anything deter you from achieving it. And you will achieve it. First, you have to believe in yourself that you can achieve it. And once you do that, everything else will work fine. And nothing else should get in your way. And it works fine.
Yeah, pursuing the thing that you're passionate about, Catherine. And as I had the opportunity to listen to Catherine speak recently at an event that we hosted, and I could really just feel the passion coming off of you as you were talking to all of us about how important passion is. How do you keep your passion up? Now you're embarking on something that is relatively new for you. Mm-hmm. You have authored a book that got published a few months ago, and now you're out here pursuing a career as an inspirational speaker. How do you keep your passion going?
Through other people. Mm-hmm. Seeing them smile. That's why I want to be an inspirational speaker, because when they smile, it heartens me. I can't explain the feeling. It's like I've helped them believe in themselves. You don't have to go to psychiatrists and doctors and medications and all. No. They need people to believe in them, and which would prompt them to believe in themselves. Well, if she believes in me, there must be something about me that's worthy. And I just feel that I see it in myself, that the passion, I never thought of it that way, but I realize in looking back at my life, passion is the keynote to not deterring you. Because if you don't have that, you may want to give up and say, oh, but I have it in there. Once you give in, you give up. And you never want to do that. Don't ever give in. No. Pursue it, and you will see your dreams will be realized. No question
The
about it.
passion really drives
Absolutely.
your ability to be able to get the things done to make your dreams come true. So I can
Absolutely.
completely relate to your thought process there. And again, Catherine, so our company, Classic Communications, is now working with Catherine, looking for opportunities to promote her as a speaker. So for all of you out there, if you're looking for someone who will inspire an audience, a great teacher, a great motivational person, I think that you would really enjoy her story, especially in that live. So all of you, you're watching on video and you can see how much passion that she has here on video, but when you actually see her in person and she's in front of an audience, it just oozes off of her. And just really looking forward to promoting you, Catherine, your platform.
Can't
And
wait.
is there anything else that you want the audience out here to know about what you want to accomplish as an inspirational speaker and author?
As an inspirational speaker and author, I want to feel that my words will have great impact on people in terms of never give in, never give in. You may be set back. I was set back a few times, but I said, I'm not giving in because I said, I don't want to give up. I don't want to. I know it's very important. And I'll tell you something. In all the work I've done in my life, and I've had many double jobs because my husband open heart surgery and I had to pitch in there. This was I gave my all to this, and it was the hardest job, but it was the most gratifying. Wonderful. It was just amazing how it's such hard work, but the hard work paid off a million times in helping other people believe in themselves. And that's what it's all about. God brought us here together for one reason. We have to share with each other. And that's why I think I wanted to be a teacher, because I wanted to share any knowledge I had. And then I didn't realize how large the dimensions were in terms of what's needed. Make people believe in themselves first. And once that happens, so many wonderful things can happen after that. And always believe in them, because we all have good and bad, but highlight all the good and make them, like I said, that story with Tom. He became the computer manager. He was the last one who thought he could do it. I knew he could do it. No question about it. And I always represented them with the truth that people are beginners. They're not well equipped to do everything on a computer, but they know how to create documents, how to change the font, and then how to store it, and then how to print it. And if you needed to print it again, they can do that again. And if they didn't know how to do something you're asking them to do, they would call the office, and either I would help or others who knew the various programs that we trained on. And it worked out beautifully, beautifully. I have to make one other statement that's very important. Those 4 people at the door that first came to us, do you know that, and this is the God's truth, it's going to be hard to believe this, but 2 of the 4 were making over $1,000 a week. How did they do it? They didn't think twice about the hours they had to work. They started at 9. They finished at 6. They went home, slept an hour or 2, came back, and they were always asked for because they were in the minority. The companies needed these people, even with the basics. And they'd look at the checks and they said, Kathy, thank you. These people haven't met me. Thank you. They said, yeah, but now I don't have to live with 3 other people and flip a coin to see who's going to sleep where and what, and the rest of us on the floor. I feel so much better about myself now. I've trained, but you've placed me in a job or jobs. And because once they heard about you, you went to Lehman Brothers or Chase Bank or wherever, then other companies would be apprised of that, and then they would call you to come in. So they were never out of work after that. So they charged $75, well worth it.
Yeah, and instilling that passion in them, they started to enjoy their jobs, and so they became more valuable for the company.
And themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, valuing themselves made them more valuable to the company. Everybody really wins in a situation like that, and just believing in people. And that's really, I think, the essence of what I have seen with you, Catherine, in your development of your platform, is that you have this belief in people. There's, as you had mentioned before, people can accomplish so much if
Beyond belief.
someone out there believes in them.
Beyond, absolutely. No question about it. They just have to first, maybe even before they meet us, before that, this is what I'd like to do, but can I do it? That's where we would come in. Yes, you can. You have the passion. Anything is doable. There's no question about it. I put it in writing. I saw it with myself. I lived it. And it's very hard work, but it's hard and very, very enjoyable. More enjoyable than any other jobs I had. Typing and making copies. Oh, God. So ungratifying. But light work compared to what I did as the president of a company. But I loved every minute of it.
Well, thank you again, Kathy, for stopping
My
by the
pleasure.
PR Connections radio show. And again, as our firm, Classy Communications, is really looking forward to representing Kathy, creating opportunities for her to share these valuable messages that she shared with all of you today on stages. If any of you out there would be interested in bringing her on as a keynote speaker, you can please reach out to us at Cause Marketing. That's a whole nother company. info@classycommunications.net. You can get in contact with me through any of the social media sites, and we would love to book Catherine to come in to talk to your group or your company. Again, we're just very, very excited to be promoting a speaker with the values that Catherine has. And a couple of last words for the audience out there, Catherine.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it very much. And please call, because it'll be the beginning, another start in life. And it's very, very doable. Again, I want to end this with, if I can do it, and I mean anybody can do it, just have that passion, and you'll see what I mean.
Dream, believe, and achieve, just as Catherine had mentioned. And we thank you all for tuning into the PR Connections radio show here at prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. Please visit our website for all of the shows that we host on our network. Of course, you can find us on all our social media sites. And we are also now hosting all of our shows on many streaming sites, including Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, and more. We'll be having more updates about that very soon, but I hope you're enjoying the holiday season, and we will see you on the next show. Take care.
Happy New Year.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.